God bless you, Dr. Dory McKnight here. Listen, in our previous episodes, we have been talking about Cover Girls in the Church Uncovered. I'm happy to announce we have a sequel to Cover Girls in the Church. It's called The Sisters of Sabotage. Cover Girls in the Church came out in the year 2007, so I imagine it's really nice to have a sequel 2 years later, The Sisters of Sabotage. In Cover Girls in the Church, we deal with biblical characters that help us understand relationship. Cover Girls is about understanding why we cover, whether it's a good cover, whether it's a bad cover. We're covering for friends, we're covering for family, we're covering out of embarrassment, we're covering, like I said, for the right or for the wrong reasons. We have taken the message of Cover Girls to the churches, we have taken it to the prison ministries, we've done workshops, we've done classes to help us understand that cover girl mentality. And I wrote Cover Girls in the Church to help us understand that it is not just something that is happening in the day and time we live in, but it was also happening back in the Bible days. And using biblical characters to me is safe. It's saying that it's in the church. That's what that title means, Cover Girls in the Church. It means it's in the church. It's not just in the world. People are dealing with issues of relationship. They're dealing with issues of affairs. They're dealing with issues of covering for their children, covering for Abigail was married to a fool. Bathsheba was caught in an adulterous affair. Rahab was a harlot that was living a not so good life, and she wanted to get out, and she wanted a second chance. Well, Rahab is probably a good place where I can start with the Sisters of Sabotage, because that's actually one of the chapters in the book Sisters of Sabotage. It's dealing with harlots. It's dealing with the ladies that really don't have coverage. They really don't have no one to cover them. Harlots, like Rahab, there was nobody that was really on her side. She didn't know who to trust. Now, in the book Sisters of Sabotage, I'm going to give you the chapters very quickly. The first chapter is the hindering sister, and that's about the harlots. The second chapter is Jezebel. The third chapter, Leah and Rachel. The fourth chapter, dealing with Delilah. The fifth chapter, Mary and Martha. The sixth chapter, we have a woman with an issue. And the seventh chapter is about offending God's little ones. Now, in Sisters of Sabotage, we're going to talk about, it's unlike the Cover Girl book. The Cover Girl book is when a sister can provide you coverage and is there to help you. Ruth was there to help Naomi through a very tough time in a good way. Mary covered Jesus. Elizabeth and Mary were good cover girlfriends. This book, Sisters of Sabotage, is quite the contrary. These are sisters that should be covering you, but they're not. They're trying to sabotage. They're trying to take you out. That's why we can talk about Delilah. I've already preached the message dealing with Delilah. That's on one of the shows you'll either see before or shortly to come. And it's about dealing with the spirit of Delilah. Again, know that these are spirits. Even though we're using names, that's what I tell a lot of people as I'm teaching, is to take the face off the individual and equate it with a spirit. Equate it with what's happening. What is the spirit of Jezebel? What is the spirit of Delilah? For example, a lot of times people say the spirit of Jezebel is someone that, is dominating over men. She's loud, she's boisterous. And, some of that is true about her character. But in the word, and as I will break it down later, Jezebel really dealt with more of silencing the prophetic voice, silencing God. She had no respect for God. Her name meant that she was married to Baal. She was a Baal worshiper. She loved Baal. So she didn't love God, because you can't serve two masters. So she was dedicated. She was devoted to her God, which was Baal. But that's Jezebel, and that's another story, because today we're going to talk about the harlots. The title of the hindering sister, it's That's My Baby. And this story was taken out of 1 Kings chapter 3, and it's a story that was put in the Bible to really display the wisdom of King Solomon. It's about two harlots that came into his court one day that were fighting over one baby. Both of these mothers, both of these harlots were claiming to be the mother. Well, the story goes that they both started out with a child, but one of the mothers was careless. One of the mothers was lazy. One of the mothers wasn't as caring and as loving and paying as much attention to her child as the other mother. And this particular harlot rolled over on her baby as they both slept, and she killed it. So when she woke up the next morning, she discovered that her baby was dead. She had her maid come in, take her dead baby, take it over to another harlot's house, ditch that baby, and take her baby, her live baby. Now, how all this was happening, I do not know. I'm one of those mothers that's a light sleeper. But all of this happened where they switched the babies out, and when the other harlot woke up to find her baby dead, she was just in shock, but she knew that this wasn't her baby. She said, a mother knows her baby. Anybody that is a mother, you know your child. They show it to you when you're in the delivery room. That's my baby. That baby looks like so-and-so. You look to see who the baby favors. You look, and sometimes they have your nose or they have your eyes or something about, they have your long fingers. There's something that you can identify that baby with. Well, this harlot, this mother knew that this was not her baby. So she took her before the king and said, well, we can't settle this on our own. Let's take it to the wisest king. Let's take it to the wisest king of all. He will know the truth. He will know how to decide who to give this baby to. That's one of the things that King Solomon prayed for when God asked him, what did he want? He prayed for wisdom and an understanding to be able to judge the people. Well, here was his chance. Now, both of these harlots lived in the same house. They both lived together. They both did things together. They started on the same level. They were both living a lifestyle that was alike. I imagine there was some sense of competition where they were both trying to get as many clients in, or trying to do what they do, make the most money, be the most known. For whatever reason, they were looking for love in all the wrong places, just like Rahab was in our previous book. So these two ladies lived in the same house, but we're going to discover that even though they lived in the same house and were doing the same things, they both have two different mindsets. One was outright lying, saying that this was her child, when the other one was saying, no, this is my baby. But she didn't make a big enough fuss about it that it was like a fight. Nowadays someone may become physical, whereas back then it was, let's just take it to the highest court. Let's take it to the king. These two harlots had an unhealthy relationship. They were not friends, but they were acquaintances. Sometimes you need to know who your friends are. As we talk about relationships, as we talk about people that we have in our personal, in our professional, in our spiritual circles, we need to know who our friends are and who are acquaintances, who are our companions, who are with us for a lifetime, who are just passing through. Now, both of these harlots had a soul tie to the profession that they were in, and it was based on a financial need to bring income in. This is how they supported themselves. Neither one of them were married, and so they would live this lifestyle of a harlot to bring income into their house. These were business women here, and in the midst of this business, they both ended up having a baby at the same time. Imagine that. So what happens is, as I said earlier, one of the babies died. The other one takes the baby. She ditches it to the other one. They're in competition. Now they're in a crisis mode here. Now it's no longer about competition. It's about a crisis. It's about, okay, my baby has died, but I'm going to take your baby and I'm going to pretend like it's mine. I was watching something the other day on television, and it reminded me of this story of how I can make it relational to today, where this gentleman was talking about that he went into a business meeting, went in with another female, and as he went into the business meeting, they asked them, okay, what are your new ideas? Go ahead and put them on the table. And the female began to speak about her new idea. And as she began to speak about her new idea, he said his mouth dropped open, because he was like, that's my idea. That's mine. She's talking about it like it's hers and it's mine.